Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm David Kerr from Lansing in Michigan, and these are your latest news headlines from around the world. Pope Francis has issued an appeal for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza so that Israeli hostages may be freed and the Palestinian population may receive urgently needed aid. The Pope made his plea during his Sunday Angelus address to pilgrims in St. Peter's Square in Rome. He told those gathered that every day in my heart I carry the pain and suffering of the populations in Palestine and Israel due to the ongoing hostilities. The present conflict in Gaza was sparked by a cross-border attack by Hamas gunmen on the southern border of Israel on the 7th of October last year, in which 1,200 people were killed, most of them civilians, and around 240 others were taken hostage. It's estimated that around 130 Israelis remain captive. Meanwhile, more than 30,000 Palestinian people have been killed by the Israeli military in Gaza, mostly children and women. That's according to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry. International humanitarian groups are also now reporting the outbreak of famine in the north of Gaza. Meanwhile, on Saturday, Pope Francis met with the Chancellor of Germany, Olaf Scholz, in the Vatican, whereupon they discussed the wars in Ukraine and the Holy Land, as well as refugee crisis around the world. Although the two men had already met at Pope Benedict XVI's funeral last year, this was their first private audience. Approximately 170 people have been killed in attacks upon 3 villages in northern Burkina Faso. That's according to the public prosecutor for the region, Ali Benjamin Coulibaly, says that he has received reports of the attacks upon the villages in the Yatenga province on February the 25th. Mr. Coulibaly says his office has now ordered an investigation and is appealing to the public for information. In recent years, Burkina Faso has been subject to a jihadist insurgency waged by rebels affiliated with Al-Qaeda and Islamic State. The bishops of Texas are asking for prayers and support for those affected by the largest wildfire in the state's history. The Smokehouse Creek fire has been burning for nearly a week and has so far torched more than 1 million acres of northern Texas. It's also encroached into the neighbouring state of Oklahoma. So far, 2 people have been killed with over 500 structures burned down. Many others have been left without electricity as more than 120 miles of electric lines have been destroyed. At present, firefighters have only contained an estimated 15% of the blaze. The Texas Catholic Conference are asking that donations to help those affected be given through Catholic Charities USA. Catholic bishops are urging lawmakers in the US to oppose a bill that would create a federally sanctioned right to access to in vitro fertilization, or IVF. The bill, called the Access to Family Building Act, has been introduced by the Democratic Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois. In response, the heads of 4 United States Conference of Catholic Bishops committees have written a letter to lawmakers to say that while they understand the profound desire that motivates some couples to go to great lengths to have children, that the means of doing so must be morally licit. IVF is a fertility treatment in which doctors fuse sperm and egg to create human embryos without a sexual act. Embryos that are intended to be implanted in a womb at a later date are then frozen. Unused embryos are routinely destroyed or used for scientific research, which kills the preborn human life. Senator Duckworth's bill was introduced in response to a recent Alabama Supreme Court decision, which ruled that human embryos are legal persons under the state's Wrongful Death of a Minor Act. The Republican-led Senate in West Virginia has approved a bill that would require public schools to show a video of fetal development produced by the pro-life advocacy group Live Action. Dubbed the Baby Olivia Bill, the law would require 8th and 10th grade students in public schools to view a 3-minute movie that illustrates the development of a fetus from the moment of his or her conception. The governor of the northern Indian state of Manipur has confirmed that 219 people have been killed in ethnic conflict in the region since last May. Governor Anusaya Uwiki made her comments in an address to the Manipur Assembly on Thursday. The conflict in Manipur has seen the largely Hindu Meitei community pitted against Kuki tribes who are majority Christian. The violence has also left hundreds of church buildings torched, with thousands of homes burned down and tens of thousands of people forced to flee the northern state. Christian leaders in Pakistan have welcomed a change to the country's marriage laws, which they say will help protect young Christian women from forced conversions to Islam and sexual abuse. The Christian Marriage Amendment Bill 2023, which has now been approved by the country's Senate, raises the minimum marriage age for Christians from 16 to 18 years old. The bill was sponsored by the Christian Senator Cameron Michael. It amends the Christian Marriage Act of 1872. A Texas surgeon is facing a federal investigation after exposing what he called barbaric procedures being done upon children with gender dysphoria after the hospital in question said they'd stopped doing them. Last year, Dr. Ethan Haim blew the whistle on Texas Children's Hospital, who had promised to stop the procedures but instead had continued to secretly perform so-called transgender medical interventions upon children as young as 11. Now, the Federal Department of Justice are investigating Dr. Haim for breaking patient confidentiality. In response, Dr. Haim's legal representative says the investigation is politically motivated. The University of Florida has terminated all diversity, equity and inclusion, or DEI, positions from within their faculty. That's in compliance with a new state regulation. The action follows Republican Governor Ron DeSantis' signing of a bill prohibiting public universities from using government funds for so-called DEI initiatives. Other schools in Florida, such as the University of North Florida and Florida International University, have already eliminated or begun to phase out DEI programs. Governor DeSantis congratulated the University of Florida, stating that DEI is toxic and has no place in our public universities. Finally, Pope Francis has told children that if they want the world to flourish and grow, they should be united with Jesus. The pontiff conveyed his message ahead of World Children's Day, which is to be celebrated in Rome in May. In a letter addressed to the children of the world, the Holy Father explained how little things like saying hello, asking permission, begging pardon, and saying thank you can make the world a better place. The Pope also encouraged children to listen to the stories and advice of the elderly. That's your latest headlines for now. Do join us for more tomorrow. You can also join us at swnews.org for news updates. Shalom.